Alright, so we're going to go to the next section, which is the trinomials, and it looks kind of a lot like this one, except notice that this has an ax squared, where that's just an x squared, because here I told you that the a is equal to 1, so you really don't have to have anything out front because 1 is just understood. But now we're going to go to a 3-term polynomial where this number is not equal to 1. It's going to be some other number besides 1. Let's see. There we go. That might be a little bit better for you. So I taught 2 different methods last year. I'm only going to teach one this year because I think when I do 2, people get confused and they try to mix the 2. And so I'm just going to do the 1 this time. And I opted to do the one that's called busting the B. And it refers to that B right there. We're going to bust it up. And so, first thing you're going to do, always, if you have a greatest common factor, you're going to take it out. And then here's where this is very similar to my regular trinomial, x squared plus bx plus c. You're going to multiply these two things together, the a and the c. You're going to multiply. And that's going to go right here. I'm sorry. I almost read an X. I don't know why. That's going to go right here in your X. And the B is going to still go in the bottom. So you're going to multiply the first number with the constant, your lead coefficient with your constant. And the B, the coefficient on your linear term, the X term, is going to go in the bottom. And you still do the same thing. You're going to solve this little puzzle and find things that multiply to give you this. And add to give you this, and those factors are going to go here, just like we did on the last set. But what you do with that is these two factors are what you're going to bust the B with. Those two numbers are going to replace that B and be 2 different terms. And then we just factor by grouping. So here's what I'm talking about. It's really not that terrible. It's really pretty easy. And so here's what I got. If I've got 12x squared, that should have been a minus. Let's make that a minus. 12x squared minus 29x plus 15. You probably want a calculator unless you just know your multiplication facts right off the top of your head. If you do, that's great. If you don't, that's fine too. So you're going to multiply. I'm going to use a different pen here so I can show you what I'm doing. I'm going to do this times this. 12 times 15 gives me 180. And my B term, that's a negative 29. So I want to find factors of 180, things that multiply to give me 180, and add to give me negative 29. So I don't remember if I did it in that video on the last one, but I'm going to show you this real quick. I showed you in class, but I'm going to show you again because we usually need to see it more than once anyway. If you're not sure what they are, easy way to do it is go to your table, hit the table button right here, and it's going to give you that y equals screen. Let me put it where you can see it. And you're going to do 180 because that's my number in the top, and I want to divide that by x, which is right here. And go to your table, whatever it's on, if it's on some weird number because of whoever used it last or you used it last, whatever, change it to 0. And let's just go through, these are my factors of 180. 1 times 180 is 180. 2 times 90 is 180. These are the things that multiply to give me 180. Let's find the ones that add up to give me negative 29. Well, if my 180 is positive, but my sum is negative, then I need 2 negative numbers. So I need 2 negative numbers that are going to add up to give me a negative 29. And you only need to look at the whole number answers, and there they are. Some of you probably already have that without me going through that, but not everybody's got those multiplication tables, their facts down pat, and you might not remember them. And if you struggle with it, then use the technology that you have. So this is negative 9 and negative 20. So I took those two factors that multiplied to give me a positive 180, and add to give me a negative 29, and I'm going to bust that b with them. So I have 12x squared. Most of the time, I don't want to say all the time, because as soon as I do, there will be a case where that's not true. Most of the time, it doesn't matter what order you put them in, but you can look at it and kind of tell if these numbers have anything in common, whether it's the 9 and the 12 or the 20 and the 12, they do, or the 9 and the 15 and the 20 and the 15, and they do. These are both divisible by 5, these by 3. These are both divisible by 3, these are both divisible by 4. So either way, I think it's not going to matter with the order, so just pick one and go with it. So I'm going to go negative 9x minus 20x plus 15. So that, just replace this, and that's the only thing I've done. Now I've taken it to 4 terms, which we have already learned is a grouping problem. And so I'm going to group the first two and the last two. And I'm going to give you some little refreshers here. I said group the sign with the inside the group with that binomial, because that helps you know what sign to take out. So here I've got a positive 12x squared minus 9x. My greatest common factor here is a positive 3x. Leaves me with 4x minus 3. My greatest common factor here, if this is negative, then go ahead and know you have to take out a negative. If you factor out a negative, it changes both signs, because I'm dividing negative 20 and 15 by a negative number, so it's going to change their signs. They are both divisible by 5, so my greatest common factor is 5. That's going to leave me with a positive 4x and a negative 3. So now I have my common binomial, 4x minus 3 and 4x minus 3. That's my greatest common factor out of this term and this one. So I can take out the 4x minus 3, and that leaves me with the 3x minus 5. And just to be safe, you can check it. Multiply it back out. 4x times 3x is 12x squared. 4x times negative 5 is negative 20x. Negative 3 times 3x is negative 9x. And negative 3 times negative 5 is positive 15. And if you combine like terms, I keep doing a 5 and that's a 15, I'm sorry. Does that match what we started with? Absolutely. So on the factoring, I keep telling you, I keep trying to drive it home to you that you can know without a doubt that you have the right answer. Okay? Don't write really big, because we're going to put a few examples in here, and I don't want you to run out of room. In fact, I'm going to split my page. Oh, I don't have a ruler right here, but I have a handy-dandy nail file. So I'm going to try to split my page down the middle so that I can do some examples on this side, some examples on this side. That's just for me. You do yours however you want to. I'm going to try to get 2 and 2. Alright, so I'm telling you, don't write too big. So here's my next example. I have, and if you want to, draw a little line in here so that you know this is all one, and I won't get stuff mixed up. So example 2. I have 6x squared minus 4x minus 16. So I'm going to multiply 6 times negative 16. And that's what's going to go in the top of my x. So 6 times negative 16. Oh wait, what can I do? I didn't even do it myself. What's your first step? Let's take out that greatest common factor, because that's going to make the numbers a little bit smaller. What can I take out? Just took out a greatest common factor. Now, I noticed in class, some of you are taking this out and then you're throwing it away like it's trash. But think of it like your little sister or your little brother that you took to town with you. If you come home without that little critter right there, you're going to be in serious trouble. If you get to the answer at the bottom and you don't have this, it's the same thing. You're in trouble. You've done it wrong. You got to fix it. So keep dragging this along as we go. So now, let's do this right. Let's multiply this times this. Took out my greatest common factor, and let's bust the b. 3 times negative 8 is negative 24, and I need things that multiply to give me negative 24. So factors, I wish I could make that stop doing that. I don't know how. Factors of negative 24 that will add up to give me negative 2. So I'm going to give you a second, let you think about it. If you got negative 6 and 4, you're correct, because that multiplies to give me negative 24. Negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2. And now I'm going to do this, because I'm going to be putting parentheses within this. I'm going to do my brackets, and I'm going to bust the b. So these numbers are going to replace this one. So I have 3x squared. I'm going to put the 6 with this. Negative 6x plus 4x minus 8. I busted up that negative 2 with the negative 6 and the 4. So now I'm going to group these two and these two, and then take out your greatest common factor. In the first set, you just take out what you need to take out. My greatest common factor, my GCF here, is 3x. Leaves me with x minus 2. When you take your GCF out here, take out the sign with it. If that lead term is positive, then you're going to take out a positive, and our greatest common factor here is 4. And that leaves me with x minus 2. And that's why I use the square brackets, because when you start putting parentheses within the parentheses, it's easy to get lost and confused. So now, my common term, my common binomial, is x minus 2. That's what I'm going to factor out. Now I can get rid of the square brackets. I've got x minus 2 and 3x plus 4. We can check that really fast. I'm going to do it right here, and I'm not going to drag my heels with it. I'm going to go ahead and distribute the 2, and I'm going to get 2x minus 4 times 3x plus 4, and then I'm going to do my distributive property again. That's going to multiply and give me 6x squared. That's going to multiply and give me 8x minus 12x minus 16. And these two are going to come together to give me a negative 4. Got what I needed. Let's do one more. If I have 5x squared minus 11x minus 6, do you have a greatest common factor? Look for that first. If you don't, then go straight to where you have to bust the b. I'm going to multiply 5 times negative 6, and that's going to give me negative 30. I need things that multiply to give me negative 30 and add to give me negative 11. So either use your calculator, find your factors of negative 30, or use your brain and find your factors of negative 30. And I'm going to tell you the common mistake you're going to want to make. You're already thinking, it's 5 and 6, it's 5 and 6. But if I do 5 and 6, in order to get a negative product, one of them has to be negative. So if I do negative 5 plus 6, I get 1. If I do 5 minus 6, I get negative 1. So that won't work. So now let's try, what else can we do? 10 and 3. No way I can put 10 and 3 together to get 11. That won't work. What else have I got? 15 and 2. No way, signs, it doesn't matter if that's negative 15 plus 2 or 15 minus 2. No way I'm going to get negative 11. And we haven't done one like this before. It doesn't work. Nothing is going to multiply to give me negative 30 and add to give me negative 11. And there was no greatest common factor. So if there's absolutely nothing I can do, no GCF, and can't factor, it won't factor with what we know how to do. So here's your answer for that. If nothing works, it has to be nothing. I can't stress that enough. If you can take out a greatest common factor, then what I'm going to say right here is not your answer. If you cannot take out a greatest common factor and you can't factor using anything that we know how to do, it's prime. because the only thing that's going to go into this evenly is 1 and itself. So your answer is prime. It's just like 11 is a prime number because it's only divisible by 1 and 11. This is a prime polynomial because it's only divisible by 1 and 5x squared minus 11x minus 6. Let's go to the next one. Ooh, we're already at 15 minutes because I'm talking slow. Sorry. So, next one. This is number 4. I have 24x squared plus 34x plus 12. Do you have a greatest common factor? Everything's at least divisible by 2. So if you're not sure and you know that 2 will come out, start with that. So I have what? 12x squared plus 17x plus 6. And then if you need to, check again. Nothing's going to go into 12, 17, and 6. So those are my numbers. So now I've got to multiply. Ooh, that was a magic trick. 12 times 6 is 72. So things that multiply to give me 72 and add to give me 17. However you need to do it, calculator, brain, whatever. So that's going to be 12x squared. This is going to be what? 9 and 8. So 12x squared plus, it really doesn't matter how you arrange these things because they both have, 12 has things in common with 9 and 8, so does 6. So, I don't know, I'm just going to go 9x plus 8x plus 6. I'm just going to take a chance and make sure, and I hope I got it right. Because sometimes there's nothing else to do but just to try. So, I'm going to group. And I'm going to take out my greatest common factor. Here, I can take out a 3x. Leaves me with 4x plus 3. And here, I can take out a 2. Leaves me with 4x plus 3. So I've got my greatest common factor, my common binomial that will divide out, factor out, 4x plus 3. And that leaves me with a binomial of 3x plus 2. I'm not going to check it because you can do it on your own, but check it. And I'm trying not to make this video go to 20 minutes because it's already longer than it needed to be. Last one. I have 36x cubed plus 33x squared plus 6x. Look for a greatest common factor. I can take a 3x out of everything. So what's that going to leave me? 12x squared plus 11x plus 2. Multiply. So that's going to give me 24. I need factors that multiply to give me 24 and add to give me 11, which would be 8 and 3. So I have this 3x on the outside, square brackets. Oh, I almost wrote a 24 right there. 12x squared plus 8x plus 3x plus 2. I didn't even stop and think about how I wrote that. I just did it. I'm telling you, most of the time, almost every time, it doesn't matter what order we go right here. So now, what can I do? When I group, and I group, greatest common factor here, that's a 12, x squared plus 8x. I can take out a 4x, leaves me with 3x plus 2. If you can't take out anything, you can always take out a positive 1. Leaves me with 3x plus 2. So now my greatest common factor is 3x. Don't leave that out. My common binomial is 3x plus 2. And that leaves me with a binomial of 4x plus 1. And you can check it.